it's really important and I don't want it to get lost. And that is, of course, we're just through a holiday weekend. And at about 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, the 31st of August, the Trump administration tried to send out of the country about, because we haven't seen the numbers, about 47 children between the ages of 10 and 17. They hailed from the country of Guatemala and they had come to this country as unaccompanied minors. And when that happens, a number of protections go into place for those minor children so that they don't get trafficked. And they're supposed to be in a certain agency in the United States. And what happened was the Trump administration tried to take them out of that agency, give them to ICE, and send them back to Guatemala. Now, they're supposed to be in that agency so that their relatives or their guardians can get them and can keep them in the United States while their asylum claims get processed. And the administration tried to argue that the children wanted to go back to Guatemala. And when the judge stepped in and learned more about those kids, they basically, not basically, they said, no, we're afraid to go home. So the reason I think that that's important is because the administration, in the middle of a Sunday night, 2 o'clock in the morning of a holiday weekend, pretty much, according to the judge who got the case, she was not assigned it. It's been assigned to somebody else now, but she initially took care of the emergency injunction that people asked for to stop the sending out of these children. She said this is illegal. There's no legal way for you to have done this transfer from what's called ORR to ICE, and she not only made them stop. They called her at 2:30 in the morning, and she said there would be a hearing that afternoon, and then it turned out that they'd already put these children on planes and were getting ready to send them out. And she then called, said to these people, "You are not moving these children and get them off the freaking planes." I paraphrase. That's not the way she put it, but there's a couple of really interesting points about that. I think, aside from the horror of the fact that our government is taking unaccompanied minors out of government custody where Congress has said they belong, and is just sort of randomly deciding to send them back to the places they fled from. And that is that they did it in the middle of the night on a holiday weekend. And that's why I said I wanted to make sure people knew about it, because I think for a lot of people, so much happened today. This is going to have flown under the radar screen, but it's important because they knew that it was going to be enormously unpopular if they did it, or at least it appears that way, considering they did it in the middle of the night on a holiday, the Sunday of a 3-day weekend, the Labor Day holiday, which is a fairly busy holiday. Lots of people traveling, getting ready for school, and so on. It's a pretty good time to be opaque if you want to be. And also, that when the judge stopped them, she made it clear she did not trust the administration to not to cheat in some way, to go around what she said, because that's what they did when they invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act and sent those men from Venezuela out of the country to the terrorist CICOT prison in El Salvador. They said that they had misunderstood the orders, and she was very clear that you're not going to move these children, and I want to make sure they're all accounted for. And as of noon the next day, they appear to have all been accounted for back in the agency where Congress has said they should be. So I thought those two things were really important. But there was also a third thing that jumped out to me about that. And that's that if you remember back in March, when the administration sent those men from Venezuela to the terrorist prison in El Salvador, Trump said at the time that he's not the one who signed the order for that. He said, "I don't know anything about it. I didn't sign the order." And that just kind of went like water under the bridge. Like I thought that was eye-popping myself, but a lot of people didn't pick that up, or at least it didn't seem to last in the news. And I thought that was interesting because on Sunday, when they tried to get rid of these children, the young one was as young as 10. They And there's a total, by the way, of about 600 of these unaccompanied minors who fell under this, the what they were trying to do. They were trying to send about 47 of them, as I say, out of the country in this particular batch, but there are a total of about 600. Um, that it happened while, to all appearances, Trump was incapacitated. Because that was the other big story of Labor Day weekend, that Trump was missing from, he had a big event on Tuesday. It took about 3.5 hours for a cabinet meeting where all the cabinet officers were saying how terrific he was. And then he did not have any public appearances on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. He was photographed from a distance walking to a golf course, but the cameras and the press were not allowed to get closer to him at the time. And there was every indication that something was wrong. We don't know what was wrong, but it was just interesting to me that, that this happened, that something very similar to the first time around happened again at a time when Trump seemed not to be engaged, which to me points to the idea that somebody else is really desperately trying to do as much as they can while Trump is still in office. And that's the other piece here, is that Trump's health has not been good, mental or apparently physical. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to speak to that, but I have watched him very closely now for many, many, many years, and he's lost. Usually we say lost a couple of miles off his fastball. He's not even, lost it all of his knuckleball. I mean, we're not. He's not in good shape there.